there, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the Nanowrimo Tag. Nanowrimo stands for National Novel Writers Month. Every year from November 1st to November 30th, people from all over the country, indeed from all over the world, challenge themselves to write 50,000 words of a novel in 30 days. 30 days, 50,000 words translates to an average of 1,667 words every day for 30 days. If you fall behind in your word count, you have to try to make it up, because on November 30th at midnight, your challenge is over. So every year since 2010, I think I have participated in this challenge. There have been years when I accomplished my goal. There were years when I didn't. There were years when I just gave up halfway in the middle, but every year I keep coming back, because as a writer, I think it's a great idea to find this community of writers, people who wouldn't normally attempt to write a novel, take this challenge. Today I'm doing the Nanowrimo Tag, where I'm going to share answers to 9 questions that will give you a little bit more insight perhaps into my experience with NaNoWriMo, why I'm doing NaNoWriMo, and what I hope to accomplish out of it this year. So stick around, stay tuned. Question number 1, how many times have you done NaNoWriMo and how many times have you won? I started doing NaNoWriMo in 2010. On my first attempt with NaNoWriMo, it was the hardest thing that I think I'd ever done up to that point. That's not a fair statement. Of course, it's an exaggeration, just to give you an idea of how difficult it is. It's not hard to write 1,667 words in one day. It is hard to go back the next day and do the same thing, and then the next day to do the same thing. What I struggle with, what I've always struggled with, is consistency. So there have been years when I would start on day 1, I'd get my 1,667 words, and day 2, I would write 30 words and I'd be stuck. And then I wouldn't write anything again until day 5. And I would write a couple of 100 words. And on day 10, I have less than 5,000 words and I feel like quitting, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. And on day 20, I decide I'm gonna save myself, and I write like crazy and struggle every day to write 10,000 words. That is usually how my NaNoWriMo experience goes. I'm not sure how many times I've won. I remember that I won last year. I remember winning at least 2 previous years, but I have attempted every time. And if I write 10,000 words in those 30 days, or if I write 100,000 words, which has never happened, but I'm just saying, whatever I have written in that time, I consider it to be a win, because writing is just a creative outlet. And yes, you might not have won the challenge, but you have accomplished something that is significant to you. So how many times have I won? Every time I've participated. Question number 2, are you a pantser or a plotter? So I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna go off what I think these words mean. A pantser is someone who doesn't plan as much and just kind of sits and allows the novel to go wherever it needs to go. A plotter is someone who goes through a very structured organizational process. There have been people who have been plotting their NaNoWriMo novels for months and sharing tips on YouTube about how to organize the novel. They have decided who their characters are, what the setting of their setting. They've decided the characters' names and occupations and everything that happens with the character. They've written out like a storyboard of what happens in each chapter and where the novel goes. I am definitely not like that. I have tried to organize a novel that way, and I'm still stuck on that novel. So I would say that that is not necessarily my process. I am definitely a pantser, if there is such a word. I don't often know what I'm going to write about when I start NaNoWriMo, but once I've started writing, once I get into a zone and my characters take on kind of like a life of their own, I am able to explore my characters' lives and explore their decisions, kind of independent of my own choices, my own decisions. So at that point, I really get involved in the writing, and it doesn't feel like a drag. It doesn't feel hard to write anymore, but it does take a while when I'm writing for me to get to that point. So am I a pantser? Definitely I'm a pantser. I don't often know what I'm going to write about once I start writing. I just sit and allow my characters to just influence me, to inspire me. Question number 3, what is the name of the first novel you attempted? My first novel attempt with Nanowrimo was a project entitled Letters Home, which was about a woman who had moved away from her family, and something had happened to her, and her story was being told in letters that she had written to her family and friends that she had left behind. It started off being a little too close to home, and so I never finished that story. It is still saved. I still have a copy of it in my computer somewhere, but I've never finished that novel because it was just a little difficult for me to resolve how it would end. The idea that I had for that story, I just wasn't comfortable with, and I knew that I had to go back and rework some things so that it was different from my own life, and I just never finished it. Well, I haven't finished it up to this point. Someday I probably will, but it hasn't happened yet. Question number 4, give us a one-sentence summary of what you're writing this year. This year, my Nanowrimo project is a young adult novel. It focuses on a young girl who is very sheltered, very overprotected, and she is living through experiences that she's having through her books. It is fiction / fantasy, and I am not entirely sure yet where it's gonna go. I did create an outline from my story, and yes, it is also drawing on themes from my own life. So I'm not sure where I want this novel to go yet, but that is what it's about. What is the best writing advice you've ever been given? The best writing advice that I can remember receiving was not from a physical person in my life. It was from reading a book by Elizabeth Gilbert entitled Big Magic, and I have a quote right here that I want to share. In the end, creativity is a gift to the creator, not just a gift to the audience. This quote was just a reminder that writing is not something that I do for other people. It is something that I do for myself. Writing transports me. It allows me to deal with situations. It allows me to deal with experiences and people, and just things that I wish I could change, but I can't. I can change them on a paper, and writing has always been that opportunity for me. Question number 6, did you ever take a year off from Nano? No, I have not. There have been years when I just couldn't complete the 50,000 word mark, but I've always tried, I've always attempted, even when I started late, even when I fell, even when my project kind of fell apart in the middle of the month. Question number 7, what is your biggest inspiration when you're trying to figure out what to write about? I usually write to resolve situations that I have experienced, or I write based on my exploring someone's story, trying to understand maybe why they made the decisions that they did. One of the gifts that I give myself through writing is my ability to kind of figure out person's internal motivation. I explore, I try, in the writing process, I allow myself to experience life the way my character would. So if my character was a kid who was abused, what would a kid who had been abused do to other people? So not that I would abuse other people, but I'm trying to understand how a person who has experienced abuse themselves, how they would respond to other people. So my writing process is built upon my hearing someone's story, my hearing about someone's experience, and me exploring that in a more personal way. So me trying to delve into their mind, into their psyche, into their motivations a little bit more. I also write a lot about the things that I've experienced, people that I have met. I create composites that are based on several different people. I take a situation from one person and a characteristic from another person, and I kind of fuse them together to create a more complex character and explore that character's relationship to the world. So a lot of what I write about is based on my own life and my own experiences. Question number 8, read us the first line of one of your novels. So far, I have not published a novel. My first publication was this collection of short stories that I released a few months ago. It is entitled It's Complicated, Short Stories About Long Relationships. It is available on Amazon if you're interested. I also sign copies and mail them out. So if you are interested in obtaining a copy, please, by all means, contact me. Let me know. So far, this is my only publication. So I will read you the first line of one of the stories. It says, when Juan Miguel de la Antigua started to feel the pangs of unease that led him to drag his attention from the wild animals running across one of his many computer screens and abandon his desk at precisely 2:27 p.m., he had no idea that the woman of his dreams was, at that moment, walking towards him. That is the first line of The Unwilling Vegetarian. It is the first story in my collection. If you're interested, of course, by all means, click my link down below or contact me and I'll tell you more about this book. Question number 9, what do you plan to do with your manuscript after NaNoWriMo is over? If I was going to follow my trajectory from when I have started NaNoWriMo projects until now, then what am I going to do with my manuscript? It's going to sit on my computer for years and years and years. But this year, I'm hoping to be different. This year, I'm writing a young adult novel, and I do have young adults in my life that I can share my manuscript with. So in November, my goal is to write 60,000 words towards this novel. In December, I plan to edit it and create a more readable version of my story and to share it with some of the young adults in my life so that they can be beta readers. And as I move forward into 2017, to refine my story a little bit better and eventually to publish it. So I would like to go back and revisit some of the stories that I wrote previously for previous NaNoWriMo projects, and eventually I'd love to publish them all. I mean, the reason for writing is so that I can share them with you, to share them with the world. So I would like to publish more books. It is one of my goals to publish more books. I'm working towards becoming a Pulitzer Prize winner someday soon. In the past, I haven't been comfortable sharing all the things that I've written, but as I have started my channel, as I've started my blog, I'm getting more comfortable sharing my stories. So I hope to share this NaNoWriMo project with everyone someday soon as well. So that is the Nanowrimo Tag. NaNoWriMo 2016 started yesterday, November 1st. It goes on until November 30th. If you're interested in taking the challenge, it's not too late to participate. It is entirely possible to start writing, to get an idea today, start writing today, and to make up your project, to make up your word count as you go along, and to finish before November 30th. So if you're interested, click my link, Google NaNoWriMo 2016, and you'll go straight to the page. It's free to participate. There's a big community of people willing and ready and waiting to just embrace you as a fellow writer. So hope this inspired you to start NaNoWriMo. If you haven't already, hope it gave you a little bit more information if you didn't know what all the talk about NaNoWriMo is about. So thanks for watching my video. Now I'm going off to write. I'm gonna be vlogging every day in November, and hopefully at the weekend I will share my weekly vlogs to show you my progress in my NaNoWriMo project. So keep on watching, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you later. Bye.